Ready to level up your show? At podcastvideos.com, we offer industry-leading recording and expert marketing to help your show reach more listeners. From creation to distribution, we've got you covered. Visit podcastvideos.com and elevate your podcast today.
Hey everybody, we're back here again with another episode of Big
Talk about small business.
Why do we say it like that?
That's just, it's cool.
It's just what we do. Right?
Yeah, it's just really cool. I mean, people think you and I are cool as hell, Mark.
Well, if they do, they may be right in your case, but mine's another matter.
That's right.
But no, as an old guy here,
and we are getting old.
Oh, we are.
My God.
No, I don't know if you noticed, I don't have glasses on today.
Because why?
I hate to say it, cataract surgery.
Oh, God.
Oh, man, that makes me seem old.
I mean, I don't know of any young person that has cataract surgery.
No.
So.
I guess I should have smoked more weed or something. I think it keeps that down from what I've heard. Or no, that's glaucoma. But anyway, had the cataract surgery, and for $8,000 plus my eyewear insurance, I now have lens implants, so I can see my distance vision's amazing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that life-changing?
It is. I mean, it's the first time since I was like 7 years old. But I got to put these reading glasses on all the time. So that's annoying.
But those make you look cool, though.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I want to get those granny glasses with the rope around my neck.
Dude, wear those. Please wear those for the next podcast.
That way, because I'm constantly looking at my phone, as you know. Most people like us, I'm addicted to my phone. So I'm like putting my glasses on constantly. It's really freaking annoying. But anyway, it's a new change. I can see. I feel like it's liberating.
Can you drive faster?
Yeah, I can drive faster. I don't want to. I'm old now. I don't need to go fast anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I've slowed down a lot.
Huh.
So
you used to drive. I remember when I first met you.
Oh, yeah.
You scared the hell out of me. Mm. You took me. I went out to go eat lunch with you, and you were driving that freaking Mustang.
Right.
What was it? What was your?
It was a black. It was a 2010. I did a lot of work too. Yeah. Had the Ford Racing shaker hood on it that had the functional ram air that was like the old Cobra Jet setups.
Yeah.
With a 6-speed manual and posi and a 370 rear end, and
so I had just started
exhaust.
Dude, I just started working with you. And you're like, man, let's go grab some lunch. I'm like, yeah, sounds great. I mean, we're talking like you drove about a mile down the road in Dixon Street. And I'll never forget, like I got in, and of course, I asked the dumbest question I could have asked you. It was like, man, this is a nice ride. Does it go fast? And you proceeded to show me what it could do. And then we were on just a small little road down there off Dixon on West Street. And there was a parking spot on the other side of the road, and you're like, no problem. And you freaking hammered it. And we did like a freaking peel out 180. You know, of course, you went over, then you corrected it back over, and then you slid in the parking spot. And I'm scared to death.
We used to call that the Gator McCluskey move. If you ever saw that White Lightning Burt Reynolds movie, he did a lot of 180s.
And that's where you got it from?
Yeah. But no, I also had that 77, which was not fast, black Corvette. You remember? Or no, it was a 70. I think it was a 74. It was black.
That's when we would do our podcast.
Yeah, we did the Driving the Future series.
Yeah.
And then I had a 35 Ford pickup with a 383 stroker
that was
in it.
Sweet.
You did some like videos of me doing burnout and stuff. I wish we had some of that footage.
Do we not have that?
No, I can't find it anywhere. I wish we did. You were the one that had it.
Yeah, that's probably my fault.
But you know, one of the best things we did. Remember that funny cartoon series we did?
Yeah, with what was that? What was the name of that program that we?
It was some kind of software, but we had these little funny little vignettes of these people.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those were great.
Those are good times, man.
Those were fun times. It's always fun working with you. But today we're going to talk about some of the not so good times.
Oh man,
burnout of
the signs of burnout.
Yeah. Owners get burnout too. It's not just employees, okay? Contrary to popular belief.
Very true.
So that's something we're going to get into.
I think that'll be interesting because I think that, like, here's the reality from an entrepreneur standpoint. Nobody really talks about that.
No.
And so if you experience anything like that, in which we'll get into the details of it, but you, again, as an entrepreneur, you're on a freaking island.
Yep.
You know, no, you can't teach necessarily entrepreneurism and all the things that go into it, right? All you can do is just experience a lot of it.
And you can try to prepare people for the unexpected, basically, right?
Yeah. But if you have burnout, like it's not like one day you wake up, oh, I'm burnt out, I need to deal with it this way. It actually is like a slow, everyday process that probably took about 2 years to develop, and then you're just stuck in this shithole.
A lot of people
and you don't even know what it is.
Yeah, a lot of people feel trapped by their businesses.
Absolutely.
They can't get out of it. It's like a job, you can just go quit and go do something else. But a business has all these employees and customers and clients that you're hooked up with and have obligations to and debts. And
yeah, man,
you can't just shut it off. You're committed.
Yeah, it's like a divorce.
It's easier than it's harder than a divorce. Divorce is easier.
Divorce is
great. Yeah, well, they can. They can
be.
Yeah, they can be.
All right, man. So before we get into that, let's do another history lesson.
Okay.
Down with that.
So you're such a historian.
I tell you, like, it kind of goes back to what I was just mentioning. Like, as an entrepreneur, like, you can't until you experience things, and then you have to have some sort of revelation along the way. It's like, oh, this is where I'm at. This is why I'm feeling the way I am. Because life is nothing but a spider web of integration of business. And I'm like, it's your life as an entrepreneur. And so I always find it very comforting reading history about businesses, because what I figured out is like, so a good example of it is like, today you look at Procter & Gamble, right? P&G.
The greatest brands ever, companies ever created.
It's just fantastic.
So many great brands.
So much, such a freaking fantastic business.
Machine, yeah.
But if you actually rewind to the early days of when that started, it was by two entrepreneurs that were like freaking selling candles out of the back of a freaking horse wagon, just strapping it, trying to freaking survive.
Right.
You know, but you don't, as an like all we see as entrepreneurs, we have this vision of seeing this grandiose business and all these wonderful things happening, but you forget that you're actually sweating in the hot sun trying to make a freaking buck so that you can eat that day. You know, there's always that time period in most cases. So that's why I've always enjoyed history for that, because when I can look at it and go, oh, I'm not the only one that's living this hell. Yeah. It's a good thing to know. So,
yeah, it is.
You know, again, the book that I found is one of the best books is the American Entrepreneur book, the one written by Larry Schweikart and Lynn Doty. It's a HarperCollins published book, so it's just a fantastic read. You can do the audio version,
and you can just read those little chapters. Each one's independent.
Yeah,
you don't have to read the whole thing.
No, you don't. Yeah. I mean, and just absorb it, and you'll be comforted in times of struggle.
Yes.
But one thing I thought when I was, you know, I'm going to kind of take it like from day one in a way. So last time we talked about what is an entrepreneur, trying to define that. But then what I found was really interesting is like, we don't think about America. We don't really take the roots of it. Like, why is America such a thriving entrepreneurial business venture type of country, right? I mean, it's pretty amazing what's happening.
Right.
Just keep stacking. But, you know, at the root of it is like, well, we got to rewind back to when America was even becoming colonized, like becoming, you know, and England was the dominant country that colonized America to begin with, right?
There were other countries in here. Yeah.
Totally. But
Spain,
England,
France.
Yeah. England ended up winning majority of the opportunity. And what's interesting is in the book, it tells us about, well, a lot of folks can point to different reasons. Is it an invention? Was it luck? You know? And they're like, no, actually, there's a couple of things. Number one, England had a culture of risk taking to begin with. Like, there was just a culture of folks that were just trying new things. And I think that there's something to be said that, because now America has that culture today. But England had that was a good foundation. But they said the second biggest reason is because they created the law of joint stock companies.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of them, but I never really knew what that meant.
Yeah, so it's basically like we know them as just corporations today, right? And all that. But what...
So you could spread the risk out to multiple owners?
Yeah, because before that, if you and I were like, hey, we're living in England, like let's go to the new world, to America. And let's make some profits, right? You know, if I went in and I only had $20, but you had $80, we'd go in together. But my $20 and my minority investment, if the business collapsed, I actually had to pay back those debts, like equal or in complete.
Just like a partnership.
Yeah. And so like you would.
That's why I don't like partnership structures.
Yeah. And so that discouraged a lot of folks jumping in, because then that means like if you had to raise capital or get financing to pay for $1,000 to come across the seas, you know, trying to trade spices or whatever, that if I was just going to put in $10, like I would be just as liable.
You'd be bankrupting easily, right? The ships sink and the natives kill everybody or whatever. Yeah,
total out of the gate. And so this joint partnership law allowed you to basically ride the risk of what you invested, and you're only liable for the amount that you were invested in.
Joint stock company.
Joint stock company. Yes.
Sorry.
What did I say?
Joint partnership.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay, man, thanks for correcting
me
in front of everybody on the planet that listens to us. But
just didn't want to confuse
No, I'm with you. Joint stock company. So that allowed us to basically share, you know, my liabilities according to what I invested in. And I thought that was really interesting. Then it allowed more people to be able to contribute to, you know, to these new ventures.
Right.
The other thing that was really neat was...
So they could get more resources to do something big, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you spread that risk out.
Sure.
The other thing that was intriguing to me about this new legislation, for lack of better terms, was it allowed for the company, the joint stock company, to survive in case Mark died.
I see.
Beforehand, if you died, like I'm just now liable for all the debt and the freaking company goes out.
Right.
Like they had talking about risk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But now they could just simply transfer owners of shares, transfer the liabilities, and somebody else could buy in, and it goes on. And so it's really fundamental, and we know that today. We live it. I mean, that's why we do companies. That's why we have legal structures. But we don't really tap it into that being... that allowing and being a catalyst for entrepreneurism itself, and why England was able to dominate the business and entrepreneurial sector.
That is interesting. I never knew that before.
Yeah, and just allowed them to trump the other countries that were trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it was just because of a simple law that allowed people to take less risk.
Yeah, spread it out.
And spread it out.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's not always about innovation. It's not always about great ideas. It's about formation. It's about structure. It's all this.
Yes.
There you go. There's your damn history lesson, Mark.
All right. Well, thanks for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Well, I guess now, before we get started on the rest of our conversation today, we should pull a topic from the hat.
From the Zwei hat?
Yes. This hat, where did we get this thing? Oh, I was in my bookcase in my lower level rec room.
Boy, that sounded awfully rich.
It's because it's a little small. I think I left it sit like on the back deck, a package tray of my 1988 Rolls Royce at some point. And it kind of got hot and shrunk.
That also sounds really rich.
Oh, okay. Let's see what we have here. Oh, pivot.
Oh.
Pivot is the word and the topic of today.
I mean, I'm going to let you go off on that one.
Well, I mean, I'm sick of hearing it, okay? Everybody says pivot, 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 pivot. I even saw, Mr. Wonderful, from Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary talking the other day on a video on LinkedIn about, the difference in success and not is the ability to pivot. And he went on pivot. But what he was saying, though, truthfully, I mean, it does make sense. And that is, he said, no business plan is going to be very good out of the box.
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to change direction based on your experience out there of trying to do what you're trying to do. I mean, the market tells you what they want, right? And conditions change and the external environment changes. So if you're too stuck and you can't recognize that or you won't act on it, you could end up having some real problems. So, I mean, I think that's, again, most overused word today. Good God, pivot. Okay.
Well,
Agile is a close second.
Well, I think because the problem with overused words like that is that it becomes like it's the same thing as use Excel.
Yeah.
It's just a very nonchalant word that people can't latch onto as an entrepreneur. One of the things I should do is pivot. No, actually, you should be a very agile person that's just always thinking about, evolving and adapting and moving with. And so if you just say pivot, then it doesn't give enough weight to it.
Yeah.
It's
or it turns people off because it sounds like, oh shit. Okay, I've heard this so many times. Now it's turned into a cliche, so I'm not even going to listen.
It becomes a cliche.
Yeah.
But the reality is
it's
like,
important.
No, it is. I mean, I personally, I live and breathe it.
You did it. I mean, your business is the greatest example I've ever seen. You went from a marketing consulting company to a SaaS company.
Yep.
There you go.
If
that ain't a pivot, I don't know what is.
And that wasn't like a one-day decision.
It's a total redirection.
I mean, you're listening to the market. You're seeing what's going on. You're seeing the competitive threats. I mean, all this stuff that's happening, the macro economy, where are people buying the company? I mean, so it's all these things that you got to constantly be willing to be agile with the market.
Agile, you got to throw that in too, don't you?
I do.
But no, I think you're more willing as a business owner to, or not just more willing. You're better able to recognize that you need to make a change if you really have a passion for what you do.
Totally.
Okay. Because that means you're super involved with it. You're constantly learning. You're seeking out information all the time because that's what you're interested in. And then you recognize the fact that you got to change. Of course, it's more than just recognition. That's part one. Part two is actually being willing to do it, which a lot of people aren't. I mean, again, I'll use you as a great example. You got this marketing consulting business. You're making a living off of it. Okay. I mean, it's got its issues like every professional service provider does, but you're making a living off of it. A lot of people wouldn't risk that to go in a completely different direction.
Yeah, it was really
like, how can I throw away this business that's doing $2 or $3 million a year and I make a living off of?
You're right.
And transform it into something vastly better. Okay. But so step one is the recognition of the need to change direction. And then step two is actually doing it.
Yeah. And actually doing it
that's where the rubber meets the road, baby.
Bro, I'm telling you. And and even today, like with the business I have going on, it's like, I mean, you talk about a very highly adaptable, ever-changing business. I mean, technology, AI, everything's like, it has me, I can tell you that it has me in my thinking area a lot more than I ever experienced before in business. Like I find myself just literally thinking and trying to process about what's happening to be prepared for it. But I think the hardest, when you do make those decisions, it's easy for the entrepreneur to make that decision, but then how do you get the team to make that same action? Because that one's the hard one, right? And it because I think it comes back to our previous episodes, choosing the right folks. Do you know? Right. That's why, man, like if you're coming on my team, the one thing I want to know is, can you handle and are you willing to embrace and be excited about changing?
I wrote an article once on what it's like to work for an entrepreneur. Not everybody's cut out for that.
No, hell no.
They just, they want their job description. They want their pay range. And it's just not going to be like that because we're going to ask you to do lots of different things. And you may think we're crazy sometimes, but you got to have a little bit of faith.
Most of the time.
But the team is really important, and that is one of the biggest challenges. But it is based, a lot of it too, though, goes back to just action.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if you didn't act in the first place to put yourself in business, out in the market, doing something, then you wouldn't be in a position where you can pivot to something else because you've got nothing.
That's right.
Nothing gave you that feedback that you needed. You don't have that basic sort of platform out there to modify, to change direction because you didn't act. Instead, you're sitting around thinking about it, drinking coffee, fantasizing,
contemplating,
entrepreneuring. Okay,
that's a good one. We should change our entire freaking podcast to Wantrepreneur.
But we don't want to be entrepreneurs. We want to be entrepreneurs. It's the entrepreneurs are the ones that never act.
It was funny. Like literally 2 days ago, I met with a guy, and he tunes in and listens. So I mean, if you hear this, I'm talking about you. But I'm sitting there talking, and he's contemplating and considering, and he's got these options and blah blah blah, and he's thinking about where he's at today, and he's not happy, blah blah blah, etc. But he's always been talking about starting a business, and I'm like, look, man. I'm like, the only thing that's going to make you happy in any job that you take is that you're going to be a business owner, like, because you've expressed that for like the last, months that I've been talking about this. I was like, but we're having the same conversation today that we had 3 months ago. And I can predict that
time to be an owner, right?
That's right. I can predict that we're going to have the same one 3 months from now. I was like, I don't want to even talk with you then. Like, but what I need to talk to you 3 months from now is like, how many
tough love?
Yeah, man. I'm like,
giving him some tough love.
If you can talk to me next time about, okay, you went to 2 shows, you got X amount of leads, you got X amount of clients, and you got some revenue going. That's what I want to talk to you about. Because if we talk about this thing again, like you're spinning circles, man. And I mean, the reality is are you ever really ready to start a business? It's like having a kid.
Yeah.
Like I want to plan to have a kid on this specific date when I have this amount of money and my house is this and all that. I never have freaking kids.
Wait a minute, I did that.
Did you? You didn't plan on it.
No, I did. We did wait until we were 30 years old.
Well, okay.
Or 29 or whatever. So my then wife didn't have to work outside of the home. But that all went to hell 6 months later. I was unemployed.
All that planning didn't make you shit anyway.
We got no money at all. We're living on $2,000 a month in the Boston area with a pile of crap house. Payments are like $1,300 a month. We got $700 a month to live on.
That's good.
Kid crying, dog barking in the background, trying to raise clients.
So that plan of
went to hell.
Definitely worked out.
It absolutely blew up.
I mean, if you're thinking about starting a business and that's where you have this passion that's driving you and you can't stop thinking about it, and you just go ahead and freaking start the damn thing.
One. Yeah, that's the best market research. I always tell people is do it.
Just do it.
And see what the market says.
Yeah.
If you get no traction, time to pivot. Right?
Yeah. It's simple.
It really is simple. You've got to act. You got to get yourself out there and see what happens.
Dude, I need to tell you about a conversation I had. I know I'm getting off topic a little bit, but I had a conversation just the other day of where it was a group of entrepreneurs. We all had done it a different way, but there was one that had been raising capital for a long time. Mm-hmm. And you would have absolutely loved the conversation because it was confidence behind everything that we've talked about, that it is not a pipe dream. Raising capital, you're basically, that is your entrepreneurial journey, is that you are a professional capital raiser. If you look at it that way, that's the right way to look at it. Don't look at it as, I want to start a business, and so therefore I want to raise capital and I'm going to have this grandiose business. No, you're a professional capital raiser.
Yeah.
But the expression of that is that it was a miserable ride. Mm-hmm. Because no one's ever happy. Investors aren't happy. No one's happy. The staff, because you're constantly raising capital.
And not to mention, isn't that a distraction from the basic operation of the business if all you're thinking about is raising capital?
Yeah, no, totally.
As opposed to doing what the business is supposed to do to serve a client or a customer?
There's a lot of ways to go about starting a business, and I mean that one, just be prepared because you won't do anything else other than raise capital.
Yeah, it's so true. And then what do you end up with in the end? I mean, I had a former student of mine in my class last week talking about that. how he wanted to start a business. He raised all this capital. He started the business, got it profitable, had money in the bank, and then his, quote, investor fired him from his own business. All right?
Yep.
So that can happen.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, in his case, the investor blew the business up and he ended up buying it back cheap and fixed it. But that doesn't always happen.
Man, and I don't know about you, but when money gets involved in anything, it makes people change real
it does.
quick. And you can't find the folks that don't change because of money very easily.
No, most people, well, we call it the golden rule. He or she who has the gold rules. They're going to change the direction of your business.
Totally.
It's inevitable. Don't kid yourself that they're not going to. They'll be hands off. Okay? Bullshit. No one's going to be hands off.
No. Not when it's sucking money.
Exactly.
And then when it makes money, they sure ain't going to be hands off either. Because they're going to want more of that money that's made.
Right. And they're going to want to be telling you how you need to do more.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
let's get into our topic for the day, which is business owner burnout.
Let's talk about it.
It's real.
Yep.
Any business owner who's been an owner for a long time has probably gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
I could certainly say I have at various points in my career.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have too. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's inevitable, but there's a high probability of it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how do you recognize when there's owner burnout? And then maybe more importantly than that, what do you do about it?
Yeah.
How do you get out of that rut?
Yeah, man. That's such a good topic. I would say, I like the recognition, which is really kind of what's the definition of it. Mm-hmm. I think that my experience wasn't necessarily that I was tired of what the vision was.
Right.
In which that could be different. Like if you're employed somewhere, you could probably get tired of your job because you don't like to do your job anymore. But as an entrepreneur, started the company because I had a vision that I was really passionate about. And so I never got burnout on trying to solve that.
Right.
What happened with me was just absolute pure exhaustion to where I have over time had consumed so much information, had talked about the same shit for so many thousands and millions of times to the market, hearing, in expressing and telling the story over and over and over again everywhere I went, because what we could see in the business was something that was brand new that the market hadn't really seen before necessarily. And so we're trying to express this. And I think that's where a lot of my experience of what we would call burnout was. I was just exhausted from talking.
Yeah.
And having to express the same thing over and over again and feeling like I was the only one that believed it in a lot of cases,
Yeah, could be discouraging.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I didn't necessarily get discouraged as much as I was just absolutely just tired.
Mm-hmm.
You
are a hard worker, okay, and very intense. You throw yourself into stuff.
I do. It's
really hard.
It's a problem.
It's not a problem. And maybe it's a problem on some levels with your personal relationships or maintaining a family or whatever. But it's not a problem from a business standpoint because it takes, if you've got that level of engagement and that level of effort behind something, dude, the odds of success go way up.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's true.
People who don't have that, in my mind, are the ones who are probably most likely to fail. But yeah, if it's everything to you, I think the problem with a lot of burnout, what leads to a lot of burnout, is that business is so important to you that when bad things happen in it, your world in a way is crushed. Even if you don't let that happen, but for the rest of the afternoon, okay, it's a big blow. And it has a big effect on you emotionally. And that impacts your energy and your attitude. And so I do think it's kind of like being a workaholic in a way.
Yeah.
But it's your business, your business-holic. It's just such an important thing to you that when negative things happen in the business, I think it can be very
Well, kind of
big blow.
When you're talking, like, it kind of made me think, when we say burnout, are we talking about, I think there's a few different types of it, right? There's a very, and when I hear the word burnout, I think of this long-term, almost state of depression burnout.
Right.
But then there's also micro burnouts.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Would be a micro burnout if you had that, and then you recover from it a day or two.
But those are real as shit too, man.
Oh, they are. I mean, too many of those may lead to long-term burnout.
Like, and I got ways that I handle micro burnouts. Like, I think that's one thing that I've been able to.
You're good at.
Yeah, that I've been able to get good at.
You wouldn't have been able to survive if you hadn't.
No.
You would have got into major burnout, and then major burnout leads to exit.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like give up on the business, right? Or the business fails, because you're not involved enough with it. Mm-hmm. And you start abdicating everything and letting other people do it, and they don't do a good job, and you just...
And in those micro burnouts, man, I mean, a lot of times I come to realize, I'm like, man, I'm not working hard enough, or I'm not in this part of the business that really needs more attention, or I'm looking for someone else to do it and they're not doing it right. And so if I don't get in there and just freaking start doing it and demonstrate on how it needs to be done, and I'm in that micro burnout, and I found it's been interesting. I can see those things, and you push them to back burner because you don't really want to deal with it. And then a week goes by, another week goes by, and it's been a month, and you got the same gosh dang problem because you never dove in and get it. And then you got to recognize, I need to get off my ass and quit being a baby about this and just go get it done.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, more people like counsel in businesses I'm involved with to deal with the things that they really need to deal with expeditiously, and they just don't most of the time.
Well, they probably are burned out from it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really true. But yeah, I do think, if you go back to the signs of burnout, let's talk about those. I mean, I think it's things like not showing up enough.
Yep.
Not putting enough time into it. Being unwilling to invest in the business because you're not really sold on the future. So therefore you become a lot more risk averse. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to admit that's got to be part of it.
Totally.
Right? Lower energy level, which then in turn makes you less able to inspire your workers.
Hey man, I'm going to be the first. I'll be the first to admit, like, I've experienced that. Hell, I'm experiencing that right now in some capacity in certain things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have for the last 20 years that I've been an entrepreneur. So it's like, in a way, like, there's not a rosy garden that people want to paint. Like we were talking about the other day about, you don't see billboards or commercials about going to Vegas with all the people that lost money. You only see the winners.
Yeah, no kidding.
Same thing in business. You only see the speech. Or we have a podcast and it's been success. We've had success in business, but what we're doing that's different is we're talking about some of the shit that nobody wants to talk about. Like, I lost a lot of money gambling. I didn't actually, but that's the analogy to it.
Yeah, how many you won the lottery twice? But how much did you spend on lottery tickets every year before you won, where you didn't win?
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying, and that can be part of it.
Well, it's a real deal, right? And like, what are some examples that you have of like when?
I want to go. I mean, examples that I have. I'm probably pretty good about hiding it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to show it to people when I'm really feeling like that. Mm-hmm. It just manifests itself in stress and feeling like all your obligations are piling up, and then I just get very tired.
Yeah,
I can make myself perform when I need to for a little while, but then, I want to go to bed early. For me, sleep is really critical.
Yep.
And I don't sleep for shit, as you know, because I got a prostate condition that makes me pee every 1 hour on the hour.
Right.
Which is a thing a lot of us old guys suffer with. I don't want to take any sleep drugs because then I wake up feeling like I had a hangover.
That's right.
And I got to wake up fresh.
That's right, baby.
Every day, man, I wake up ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, in spite of my sleep. But so I would go to sleep, but then I'm going to get up the next day and I'm going to perform for the time that I have to. But but I'll tell you what. There's two things I think really do help deal with burnout.
Okay.
And one of them I think is something most people don't think about, and that is you got to place lots of bets on the table. If everything's on one number,
true,
you're going to be a lot more stressed out if it doesn't work out right away. But if you've got 6 or 8 or 10 different things, something out there is going to happen good. The odds are, and that keeps you motivated enough to keep all your bets out there on the table.
That's right.
So it's less of a negative when something bad goes wrong because you've got these other things out there that could pay off.
And when you're talking about these things, these are really revenue lines.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. When I say things, I'm talking about revenue lines. Exactly. Revenue lines or other businesses.
Yeah.
Other ways you can make money, and it's not entirely dependent on the one thing. Now, is that the way to be the most successful? Ultimately, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe you are better to just focus everything on this one thing, but that leads to burnout.
Totally. And it's also like, we talked about that. It's like if, and I operate that way where there are many things going on.
Yeah, I know.
And actually that can become overwhelming pretty quick.
Well, that's true too.
But whenever I am feeling burnt out and I zoom out and I go to wherever my Zen place is where I can recollect myself.
Yeah.
And I start, it reinvigorates me. Because I actually forget about some of the revenue lines.
Yes.
Like in the case with this business, I'm like, man, well, this specific one, it doesn't seem to be getting much traction. I've invested in that. I'm like, shit, that seems very demoralizing. But then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's right. I forgot. Dude, if we can just go talk to this audience and present this thing, and I get reinvigorated and I'm going to get excited again about the business. And now I go to work.
Yeah.
But that's a really good point. That does keep, that has been very sustaining for me in my career.
It's like being a workaholic with no hobbies and no family. Okay. Then it's everything.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You got the one business and it's just all your eggs are in that basket, which I think entrepreneurs do tend to do. Okay. So the other thing though, that I think helps is, I've said this before on the show, that is, and you already touched on it, you've got to confront the most difficult problem, the thing that you're procrastinating on. That's the one you got to deal with every day as the first priority. When I think about the days I feel like crap, okay, at the end of the day, and there's probably more of them than I care to admit, but, smoking 15 Lucky Strikes doesn't help. Starting at like 5 a.m., I'll be honest with you. But if you want to feel good. But when I think about the days I feel like crap at the end of the day versus the days I feel really good, it's the days that I look at my do list and I do the easy things on it, as opposed to, boy, this is the one that's been hanging over me. I'm going to confront that today first thing. I'm going to get that done. Now I can feel good for the rest of the day, whatever. You have to confront the stuff that you don't want to confront. And in that process, knowing that you can do that and survive and make the changes that you need to make is very reinforcing, and it combats the burnout. It really does.
Man, you've actually, we've talked about this a few times, and when we had the Marcus Wide rules of getting shit done in one episode, which I need to go listen to again. But, man, I've been practicing that a little bit more of this, what you're talking about. And it actually does really work. Like I remember one of the most irritating things on the freaking planet of the earth right now is all these gosh dang logins and passwords that we got to deal with. And they're freaking everywhere. And in personal life, and then you turn around in your business and you got 8 folks on your team or hundreds.
I know.
Passwords everywhere.
Yes.
And so I finally got it organized.
Did you?
Yeah, and it took literally, personally, this is on the personal side, it took 15 hours of time. but I got the shit done, dude.
And now you feel good.
I feel so good.
It's like
bro.
you just went in and like cleaned out your whole kitchen and organized.
Yeah,
everything,
bro.
right?
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
But I mean but because of you're recommending that, because it's something I do not want to do, but it's plaguing everything that I'm doing on a daily basis. Like every time I go to log in somewhere, I'm pissed off because I got to go open this up and open that up.
Figure out what your password was.
Yeah.
Look at your phone.
And then it doesn't work, and there's a 17-factor authentication.
Oh, I hate those authentications.
No,
it's like sends it to my authenticator app that I don't even know where the hell it is. And if I open it up, there's nothing there. I mean, it's like, what?
Or it's just magically there, and it's like, how the hell that happened?
I know, exactly.
Like, I can't trust that shit because I don't know I'm going to do that again. But I mean, but to your point, like, I never wanted to deal with that, got it done, and now I feel good from that.
Accomplishment. Yeah. Sense of accomplishment counteracts burnout. Okay.
You know, I wonder if the reason is because Mark in business, like you never really get everything done.
No, you never do.
This isn't a job, man, where you clock out at 5, lock the post office door, and go home.
I mean, there's an attraction to that.
Total
I'll admit.
attraction to that, yeah.
But then think about like how much time you'd probably waste. You might like stop off at the bar on the way home and get messed up. And then you go home at 8:00 and you're all
smoking
angry.
Lucky Strikes.
Yeah, I mean, and then you watch reruns of, I don't know, the Archie Bunker show.
For some reason, I could totally see you being at the post office.
Could you? Oh, thanks.
Locking up at 4:59.
Yeah, like
on the dot. You're out. You're driving to the bar, and you're smoking right when you get out.
I got a 2003 Taurus. Got 178,000 on. I bought it from the buy here, pay here lot.
Hell yeah!
Right. I'm living in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath rental with a carport filled with shit. Everybody sees.
And smoking.
Yeah.
You're just smoking the entire time.
Got my cars parked out front in the yard.
Love it.
No, but seriously, yeah. You were saying, I interrupted you about working in the post office, but yeah, it's not a job that ends. Mm-hmm. You're never going to get everything done. There's always more you can do. But you got to get a sense of satisfaction. The sense of satisfaction is a basic human need. Mm. When you don't get that, you're going to feel burnout.
That's such a good point, man. And then you have to build that habit, which I think that's the secret that you've done, is you figured that out a long time ago because you were getting things done and you actually felt like they were good days. Right. But now you've got this habit where every morning you're attacking that thing. It's just what you do.
Yeah, it is. It's just driving. The other thing, though, I do think that it also contributes to burnout for people like us who had professional, white-collar jobs dealing with all intangible things.
Yeah.
Okay? Is doing something physical.
Yes.
Or, maybe that's you run marathons or you take photographs of nature or you rebuild old cars or something. Something where there's some sort of more physical interaction with the environment that gives you a sense of accomplishment too.
That's why I love freaking mowing, man.
I do too.
Put me on a tractor with a brush hog, bro. Kill some weeds. See the little mice running around all frantic.
I love mowing. I love power washing. It's probably one of the most fun jobs there ever is.
Because you get to see shit done.
Exactly. It's so satisfying. So I think that too, though, when you think about, like white collar workers, business owners, especially when we get to a certain level of success.
Yeah.
Where basically we're paying people to do everything for us. Yeah. I mean, you've lived like that. I have where, I got cleaners, I got nannies, I got pool people, I got organizers, I got somebody plowing my driveway. The moment it starts snowing, they're out there. I mean, it's just everything is friggin' done. They go to the grocery store. I had this nanny that would make our meals, and you'd come home and they would have like a plastic wrap around it sitting there on the table at the precise time that you wanted it. But then the more of that you do, in a way, the less happy and satisfied you are.
That's right.
Because you have none of those little gratifications during the day that also keep you from being burnt out.
That's right.
you know?
That's right.
That's why we like cutting our grass these
Hell
days.
yeah, man. You got to leave something for yourself to do, man.
Yep.
You know, and I think that, you know, when we talk about burnout, so like, let's be real. Like, I mean, if you look back in time, you know, as we continue to advance, a lot of what we're doing is very mental.
It is.
I mean,
it's mostly mental.
Was the human mind even designed to handle
work that
so
hard?
much any information?
That's a very good point. I mean, think about the difference now versus 200 years ago.
Totally.
We have a farm, you know, we get up, we'd hook up the mule to our plow and walk behind it.
And depend on nature and pray for rain, bro. Like, shit was real.
Yeah.
But now we live in this fantasy life of where, like, everything we're doing is not really real. It's not a matter of life and death. And so burnout can come in and you're like, why the hell am I doing this?
Yes. You know, it's funny. I was thinking today in the shower, this is a real sidetrack, but I was thinking, you know, like, are we going to, you know, this country's so divided. Are we going to have like some terrible revolution where people are out in the streets killing each other at some point? Okay. And the conclusion I came to is no, that is never going to happen again. And you know why? Because we're all too comfortable. What's worth risking your life for? Even though people complain about this or that or whatever, think about how man lives today versus 200 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's
think
not as
about
much desperation.
Yes. There's not that many people. There's not enough people who are really desperate, who really want to leave what they got.
True.
They could be pissed off. They can still go out to eat that night at Chili's or once a week or whatever. They go home. They probably got air conditioning if they live somewhere where it's hot.
I was going to say, bro, you take away AC. I mean, it's like, I'll be all pissed off. I'm like, okay, no more AC. Wait. Let's everybody calm the hell down.
There's like all these things that you would say, like, I really don't want to give that up. It's not worth, like, my life over that, right?
Don't shut the power off. Where's the water? The water's not coming out of the faucet?
Yeah.
Like, okay, everybody needs to okay, I know we had a revolt meeting last week.
Right.
But let's get back together. Let's make a deal. I want my water back. That's a good point, though.
That is kind of true. I mean, we just live in a different time. But like you say, though, you know, we got these white collar jobs. You know, we're not confronting the things we really need to confront. We're not getting physical satisfaction from these other accomplishments or creative endeavors in our life. And the business isn't going as well as we want.
Right.
So we get burnout. And then, you know, I think the biggest risk of that is just owner disengagement.
Yeah, totally.
And once the owner's disengaged, it's on the path of failure.
It is. So let's talk about, with the time left, like, how do we get, I guess we talked a little bit about how preventing burnout, but if you are burnout, how do you start getting out of that? Because, I mean, I definitely think that there's some tactics that I've employed that have helped me get out of those
tell us what those are.
Well, I mean, like, number one, like, I've always believed in micro breaks. Like, one of the benefits of an entrepreneur is that you can't actually...
It is a benefit.
You can control your schedule to some degree. Yeah. And, man, if I have to go...
It's true.
Completely escape... The one thing I've been able to do that sustain me is being able to run away from the business. But I need to run away from the damn business, you know. And employees, if they're asking a lot of questions and all this is building up, and you get the stress, and you're just like, man, God, you know, like, hey, I've got a meeting, I'm out. Yeah. And go spend 2 or 3 hours and do it to your family too. Yes. Like, I mean, you can't, like, you have to be able to not only, like, just knowing I can escape is a big deal, but actually doing it and knowing when I need to do that is a big deal. And I've gotten better at where I can kind of do it before I get to the state. Right. I know I need to go mow the yard. Yeah. And for some reason, it's like the only thing that can save me at this moment. You know, I'm like, I only want to go mow. Like, that's the only thing I want. I don't want to go on a vacation. I understand that totally. I don't. You know, and like, burnout's different for an entrepreneur than it is for most people that are employed. Like, I don't get any relief whatsoever from a vacation. I don't either at all. You know, there's the build-up, all the work you have to do to get ready for it.
then you're there and you're disconnected, and then you come back and there's all the shit that happened while you were gone, which means you got to work harder.
Yes.
I don't get any relaxation.
None. It's
out of it at all.
stressful to me.
I would much rather be at home.
Yeah.
Where I have everything I need.
It's hard. It's
there. It's all there. It's like, what do we need to go? I mean, the hotel room's not going to be as nice as the master bedroom in my house.
No.
My house, I can assure you.
No, and then when you go off, then you got to carry luggage. You got to re-put it in dressers.
Yeah, and then the plane's late. And then they miss your flight.
The kids need this. You got to do this for that.
Yeah,
it's all about,
I'm buying bottles of water for $6, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah.
Okay, at the airport.
Everyone else is happy, except me. Oh, and by the way, we're writing checks for it too.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You know what I'm saying?
It's insane.
There's not, but like
I'm with you 100% on that.
Take me to the freaking lawn. Put me in the tractor, baby. Let me hear that diesel crank.
You and I are more alike than I ever realized, I tell you.
It's good.
It's so true.
It is true.
That's why I want to start. I've told you about my other business idea, haven't I?
What's that?
The Old Man's Lawn Club website, where we tell stories, we about like what equipment we used and what was good and what wasn't, how gratifying it was. We have these like meditative, blog posts on the beauty of maintenance, of yard maintenance.
It's great, man.
Oh my God. I think it would be fantastic because a lot of people feel that.
What I also like is like when you go out there and you encounter these problems, right? Like like you're out of diesel. And it's like, son of a, and then you got to go to the store, but it's so simple. You go to the store, you get the diesel, you bring it back,
pour it in there, and it works.
And it works.
Right?
And it sits back.
And that's so gratifying. My head, it's weed whacker heads. That's my bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Where they're constantly jamming and breaking and running out of string, and then I can't, I hate that. So my wife bought me, when we moved to our new house, which has a lot of freaking weed whacking. I mean, a lot. She bought me the best steel weed whacker you can get.
Love
it's
steel.
The greatest thing.
Love it.
Takes the abuse, and it's a beautiful
Steel should sponsor the freaking Big Talk.
They should.
We would give them 10x value add for their investment dollar. I've been bringing. I love steel. I use all their
chainsaws. I know they're the best.
Yeah, they are the best.
They just hold up better.
They do. Another good brand is DeWalt.
Yeah, DeWalt's good.
They just make their stuff well. Anyway, so let's talk real quick before we have to end. So we talk about micro burnouts a lot, but I have experienced a more deep level of burnout to where it's just kind of consistent. It almost feels there is a little bit of a depressive feel to it.
Depression.
Right? You probably are in depressions, which is probably also burnout. But how do you get out of that? My experience has been is you can't stop moving. If you stop, then you are going to live in that. And like I've seen folks that have been real busy, have had a successful business, they sell, and then they don't do anything immediately.
Yeah, they die, some of them.
It's like the same thing for retirement.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I think you can do as a business owner, and I don't think you disagree with this either, is inject yourself back into the work of the business instead of this bullshit. Work on the business, not in the business, okay? That I hear all the time.
I hate that so much.
I say work in the business.
Hell yeah, baby.
Or you won't know what the hell's going on. You will get isolated.
Yes.
You will be disconnected from your employees and your customers, and that's the beginning of death. Get back into it. Do the work of the business. You will gain the respect of your employees.
Yeah.
You will feel more satisfied. It will take you back to the reason why you started the business in the first place. You're probably damn good at doing what the business does, which is going to make the client happy, right? Or the customer. Get back into the business.
Play the game, baby.
Just inject yourself to the work of the business.
I freaking love it, man. That, to my point, if I've got my experience with that has been when I have been in a position where I wasn't in the weeds of the business again.
Yep.
And it sounds really good, but slowly and surely, you're like, what's my purpose? What's my value?
Yes.
I've worked all this time, and now I'm here, and I
started as an engineer, and now I'm a friggin' bean counter or whatever.
Yeah.
I like doing engineering or
Yeah, exactly. What am I doing?
Yes. Yeah.
Where am I going to go? I mean, and oh, by the way, it's because of work on the business instead of in the business philosophy. Now I'm at this level and I shouldn't be doing this because it's embarrassing. It's going to look like I've taken steps down. All these
Never
thoughts,
feel like that.
but all those
You can't let
influences.
yourself feel like that.
No, get in the nasty, baby.
Yes.
Get your hands dirty.
You will feel more gratified and you will get reinvigorated about what your business does.
And I love freaking working with my team.
Yeah, of course.
When you think about it, like the greatest reward in business from my perspective is just the relationships of my peers.
It's the best thing.
That your friends, my best friends are people that I do business with. Man, it's like this ain't high school anymore, bro.
Oh,
your buddies and your homies are in the business. And if you're all high and mighty sitting in the freaking glass office in executive role, you've gotten detached from their homies.
Yep. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like have lunches, go places together, like just work on the computer, have a
work in
working
the
session.
shipping department for a while.
Yeah. Slap some labels on, bro. Let some stamps.
I know a guy, he's got a business in Tawnytown that serves the veterinary supply industry. And my understanding is, let's say they're doing north of 180, 200 million. I don't know what their revenue is.
Jeez.
Okay. The owner of the business goes out and works in the warehouse every day. Every day.
Love it.
Okay. Shipping the stuff out because that's what they do. Okay. That's what they do.
I love it.
It's inspirational. It doesn't separate them from all the workers. It gets them respect. They want to work harder because they see, here's this guy. He's old. He doesn't need to do that, clearly, but he does it.
And he found a secret to it all. He's not probably doing it because he read it in a leadership book.
No.
That's what a good leader does.
Yeah.
It's because he's a freaking human that loves freaking getting shit done.
Yeah, and he likes interacting with his people. As you said, those are your friends. That's your world. So, hey, we need to stop, though.
Okay.
We could talk about this topic all day. We're running out of time. We got one thing that we like to do.
The LinkedIn Hall of Shame.
That's it.
What's the purpose of this? It's because we see folks on LinkedIn that throw out great recommendations and advice that aren't really great recommendations and advice.
Or pose ridiculous, idiotic questions that should never be asked.
That's right.
That's what this week's LinkedIn Hall of Shame is all about. A question was posed. Okay, listen to this. This and this is. I think this is almost humorous, laughable. You're vying for an entrepreneurship role. How can you showcase your initiative in an interview?
Who are you interviewing?
I know. You're not an entrepreneur. You're trying to get a freaking job. What the hell?
I've never had an interview for my entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship role. You're having an interview for it.
That's terrible.
That is absolutely terrible. I thought that was absolutely the dumbest question I've ever seen.
Number one, it continues to feed the monster that there's some sort of position, employed position as an entrepreneur. I think the catalyst to that is the investment community are looking for entrepreneurs, and it's a role. It's not.
It's not. Exactly. Anyway, I one of the things I want to do with this thing is there's a guy in here on LinkedIn. If you don't follow him, you should, because he's absolutely the hardest core guy you've ever seen. His name is Greg Long.
Okay.
And his title is Super Connector, High Value Introductions, Elite, whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. He is so hardcore. Here's another one I like. Greg Long comments on everything. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's just so damn funny that it just cracks me up. Here's one of them. A question. How would you deal with a team member who's resistant to change and prefers to stick to traditional methods? Greg Long's response, no problem. As long as he's producing, he can be as traditional as he likes.
Whatever. Just keep producing, baby.
He's got answers like that for everything. Anyway, you should check out Greg Long if you want, because he finds the dumbest questions ever.
He's a LinkedIn Hall of Shamers scraper.
He is. All you got to do is follow Greg Long, and you'll find more Hall of Shame entries.
I love it, man.
Else.
Mark, what a great combo about burnout. I think that hopefully we've given some tips and advice. I mean, the things that you provided are great because, I mean, it helps me add more to the to my repertoire of continuing to go on the journey that I'm on. And I appreciate that.
Well, you've always been good at dealing with it and getting through it. And you maintain a great attitude.
Yeah.
And that's why people like working with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think you've set a tremendous example for how to deal with problems and uncertainty and setbacks and still overcome them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And emerge victorious in the end.
Well, by watching and hanging out and seeing other entrepreneurs and just keep driving it.
Well, we have to support each other.
Man, we do. Because
we need
there
each
ain't
other.
many entrepreneur clubs out there.
No, there aren't.
That are really entrepreneur clubs.
There aren't. I mean, I used to be a Vistage chair, and even that, where you're, like your CEO group is supposed to be made up of CEOs of privately held companies, which we were. Mm-hmm. But in a lot of cases, those people are still working for somebody else. Mm. Somebody else started the company. There's still a chairman out there. There's these owners out there, and not everybody, they're not dealing with necessarily the same problems as the people who started the business and are still with it and trying to make things happen. So it is good. We all need the support of each other to do what we're trying to do.
Agreed, man. I mean, hell, I'll listen to our own podcast because I have to be reminded about it.
I do too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's just not enough material out there that makes you feel like you're not a lunatic.
Yeah.
Because everybody else thinks that you are.
Yeah, they do. But they're wrong.
They're all wrong as shit. The greatest way to defeat burnout and anything else is pure narcissism.
I don't know about that.
No, man, they win.
You and your narcissism.
I don't know. I think it's a secret to
You
live.
are not a narcissist, so stop that.
Maybe I
say that.
I want to be one.
No, you don't. You don't want to be.
I just like the theory of not giving two shits about what anybody else thinks on the planet.
Well, you have to have some degree of that. Yeah. But you get on your kicks of silverbacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was another one of yours.
Yeah, man, silverbacks. Give me something to eat. If I don't get I'll kill everybody if I don't get to eat.
All right. Well, in any case, we want to see you all subscribe. Hit the subscribe button to Big Talk About Small Business. Promote us on social media. Talk to your friends about us. And if you want to advertise, we'd love to have your ad dollars.
Send us questions in.
Send us questions.
We'll throw it in the Zwag hat.
Yeah. Send us guests that you think would be good. If they're people who've really done it, not people who just live off other entrepreneurs. Okay. I get probably 9 out of 10 of the suggested guests, I would say, fit that category.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of, we have a really excellent entrepreneur coming in. We'll announce who it is next week.
We do have.
It's going to be a really great guest.
Yeah. I talk about somebody who's really done it and been amazingly successful.
Yep.
In a mature market.
Yep. And he works it, man.
Yeah.
He ain't playing games.
Going to be good.
Yeah. I like it. Awesome.
All right. Well, until next week, this has been another episode of Big Talk About
Small Business.
Business.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Big Talk About Small Business. If you have any questions or ideas for upcoming shows, be sure to head over to our website, www.bigtalkaboutsmallbusiness.com, and click on the Ask the Host button for the chance to have your questions answered on the show. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn at Big Talk About Small Business. And be sure to head over to our website to read articles, browse episodes, and ask questions about upcoming shows.